Remember me. Those two words which resonate here are the soul of this memorial, built by our community to honor those who gave their all when our nation was called to arms to defend the liberties we cherish. My name is Heidi Ann Mooney, Post Commander of Hayes Village Post 96. Thank you for being here this morning. Memorial Day, formerly known as Decoration Day, originated during the American Civil War when citizens placed flowers on the graves of those who had been killed in battle. 620,000 lost their lives in the line of duty during the war, roughly 2% of the US population. After World War I, the day came to be observed in honor of those who had died in all US wars, and its name changed from Decoration Day to Memorial Day. The world wars combined saw over 520,000 American fatalities. We pause here today to honor all those in our nation who gave their lives for the cause of freedom and their families who lost loved ones. To begin our ceremony, I would like to ask the Reverend Monsignor James Kinnan, Colonel, United States Army retired, to offer the invocation.
Lord God, our Creator, we gather today in a spirit of thanks and hope. We thank publicly now all those who have died in the service of our country. Their ultimate sacrifice gave us the freedom and blessings we now enjoy. Grant them eternal life and give us the grace not to take them and our great country for granted. We also offer public thanks for all Americans who have served and are now serving in our armed forces, and their families who support them in their service. We ask your help to be better and grateful citizens, to overcome our personal enemies of selfishness, anger, and greed. And in our unsettled world, Lord, may we surrender to your will to establish forgiveness and peace with one another. We ask all this in your holy name, our Lord, you who live and reign forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you, Monsignor Kinnan. Commanders of the Guard, call your units to attention and present arms. At this time, I would like to call forward Stephanie for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming,
Commander of the Guards, order arms and stand down colors. Commanders, bring your details to Addie's. Thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie has just returned home after completing her freshman year at the University of Michigan. There are many members of our community here today who serve as citizens, as members of our state legislature, our town council, and our Board of Education. On behalf of Post 96 and all the citizens of West Hartford, we thank you for your service to our state and our community. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the Hayes Village American Legion Post 96. The American Legion is the world's largest veterans organization. For the past 100 years, our post has strived to fulfill the mission of the 4 pillars of the American Legion: a strong national security, caring for our veterans, mentoring our youth, and promoting patriotism and honor, otherwise known as fostering Americanism. As we begin our next century of service to West Hartford, we want to extend an invitation to all veterans of our community to join us in this continuing journey, which does incredible volunteer work in this town. We really need both young and old to step up, to volunteer, and to carry on supporting our town and community for the future. You may not know this, but if you have a parent who served, you can join our post. We are honored this year to welcome Lieutenant General Edward Banta, United States Marine Corps, as the Grand Marshal of our 2022 Memorial Day Parade and Ceremony. In today's program, on pages 2 and 3, you will find the General's full resume. Commissioned in December 1986, he is currently serving as Deputy Commandant for Installations and Logistics. General Banta started out as a platoon commander and then company commander in 9th Engineer Support Battalion, and later was at 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, and he spent time in 29 Palms. Surprisingly, I also served at each of those locations, but 9 years before him, or after him. The world, and especially the Marine Corps, is a very small place. We are not all that different from one another. In your program on pages 4 and 5 are 119 names. These are the names that have passed in the past year and are veterans in our town. These names exemplify valor and honor. These are names of those who died committing brave and selfless acts, maybe at times when no one bore witness to them. Names who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our country. Names who have missed many red tissue poppy flowers on Memorial Day, or have missed family barbecues on the 4th of July. There is a true cost to war that we all must remember. My daughter is now the age that many on our program were when they left the United States and went to war. Wars that are easy to start, but hard to stop. Wars that leave families without loved ones. I hope in my lifetime that we will see more peace, both here in the United States and overseas. I hope Americans will come together to remember that we aren't very different from one another. Today, I remember many amazing men and women I served with who aren't here today. Young faces who I can see in my mind, and I wonder what they'd be doing today. How many kids they might have if they had lived, and I remember them. Remember me. That is the theme of today, for us to remember those who have given their lives for us. They are echoing their voices around this memorial. Listen, remember me. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored now to ask Lieutenant Banta to come and share his thoughts with you.
Heidi Ann, thanks very much for the kind invitation. And Mayor Cantor, it was really an honor to be walking the parade route today, along with you and our Lieutenant Governor. And I'm just glad that gymnastic expertise is not a prerequisite for walking the route, because I think you must have done at least 24 cartwheels along the route. It was truly impressive. So, boy, what a beautiful day in West Hartford, Connecticut. It's wonderful to be back here. My family and I are truly honored. I've got my immediate family, my wife Molly and daughters Belle and Bergen, and my mom and dad Jack and Jane Banta, and then nephew Jack and niece Emily that are here with us. So it's really, as I said, truly an honor to be here with everybody. And what a great Chamber of Commerce day. You know, I must admit it is a little warm wearing this uniform, but that's okay because it's appropriate given the nature of today's ceremony. As you might imagine, I get to be part of quite a few parades. And over the course of my years in the Marine Corps, we've seen some that have been pretty spectacular. But none of them have anything on what you saw today here in West Hartford. This has a degree of authenticity that you don't find elsewhere, particularly in Washington, D.C. So for everyone who made today happen and for those who participated, thank you. It was truly impressive. So everybody, Mayor Cantor, distinguished guests, fellow citizens, members of the American Legion, Hayes Village Post 96, thanks for joining us today as we remember those in our military who've died in the course of defending our nation. I'm especially honored to be here with the American Legion at this particular memorial. When I joined the United States Marine Corps and left for Officer Candidate School back in 1986, this was not here. And so to come back and see this memorial in memory of those not only who've fallen over the years, but also who've served is truly heartwarming. And it's, as I said, those who made the ultimate sacrifice as inscribed in the Wall of Peace, but also those who have served our nation as reflected in the Walk of Remembrance. For our veterans here today, thank you for wearing the cloth of our nation and defending the United States in times of war and peace. That's no small thing these days. As many of you probably know, less than 1% of our 335 million citizens in this great country wear the cloth of any of our services in either the active or reserve component. So for those of you who have served, thank you. The nation owes you a debt of gratitude. For the families, of our service members and veterans, thanks for your service, because through your support, you also sacrifice for the nation. And in my humble opinion, we as a nation owe a collective debt of gratitude to service members and families alike. So thank you. As Heidi Ann aptly said, and when we did not share remarks here, but the theme is consistent, today is about remembering. And along those lines, I wanted to borrow a couple lines from a small granite block with a brass plaque on it that's right out on the edge of the memorial. And it has these words on it. It says, "To bind the past forever with the future, soils from battlefields, cemeteries, and prisoner of war camps from around the world, and waters from the 7 oceans are combined with our Connecticut earth in the center of the memorial, the Court of Honor. In the quiet ambiance of the memorial, when soft lights illuminate the grounds, one can almost hear a soft whisper from those we honor. Remember me." Remember indeed. So over my time in service, I've had the opportunity to visit a few of battlefields throughout our history. Some of these from past wars are now home to American cemeteries or monuments to those who fell, and each has a similar effect. About 6 hours earlier today, the Commandant of your Marine Corps, General David Berger, attended a ceremony at the Aisne-Marne American Cemetery in Belleau, France, which serves as the final resting place for 2,289 soldiers, sailors, and Marines who fell during the Battle of the Marne and Belleau Wood in 1918. It's a quiet sweep of green, nestled into the side of a hill, with rows of crosses arcing across the manicured grounds. The surrounding woods still bear the scars of the battle, evoking the sacrifice of those who fell. And every Memorial Day, local citizens, French citizens, gather as part of a formal ceremony that's hosted by the government of France and always attended by either our commandant or our assistant commandant to honor the memory of those who fell. We too remember. About 7,500 miles to the east-southeast is the island of Peleliu, a small 6-mile long island. It's part of the nation of Palau. In 1944, this was the site of one of the bloodiest battles of the war in the Pacific, with over 1,800 Marines and soldiers killed in action. At the time, There was nothing on Peleliu. It had been completely denuded of all vegetation due to the bombardment, naval and aerial bombardment that preceded the battle. Today, it's a quiet green island that's known for its diving and tourism, but also home to memorials to those lost. One is the memorial to the temporary 1st Marine Division Cemetery. It's set in a small glade just inland from Orange Beach, where the Marines landed nearly 88 years ago. And it served as the initial resting place for those who fell during the fight. Today, it's a simple wooden cross with a rusted helmet and canteen cup perched on top, with flowers tended to this day by local islanders who remember. And we too remember. A little bit closer to home, my office in the Pentagon overlooks the Pentagon 9/11 Memorial, and beyond that, Arlington National Cemetery. Last week, I visited Arlington to pay respects to a young Marine from West Hartford, Lance Corporal Larry Phillipon. Larry's is the last name on the wall. He graduated from Conard High in 2001. He enlisted in the Marine Corps in 2002, and he became an infantryman, the soul of the Marine Corps. He initially served as one of our Marines in the ceremonial companies at Marine Barracks, Washington, and had the honor of bearing the flag at President Reagan's funeral. But like all Marines, he wanted to be in the fight. And after repeated requests, he was eventually reassigned to 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marine Regiment based out of Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Larry deployed with 3-2 to Al-Qaim in Al-Anbar Province, Iraq. And on May 8th, 2005, his parents' 24th wedding anniversary, it was a Sunday, he was killed by enemy small arms fire. I had left Iraq a couple months prior after my time there, and I didn't have the honor of knowing or serving with Larry, which is certainly my loss. But I wanted him to know that we remember. If you visit, it's Section 60, Headstone 8181. And here today, in this tribute to those sons and daughters of West Hartford who have served and fallen, we remember. This memorial is reflective of the ideals of service and sacrifice embodied by those who served and perished, and reminds us that freedom is not free. From the first name on the Wall of Peace dating back to our earliest conflicts, to those from our most recent wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, we honor their memory and contributions in defending the American democracy. In short, we remember. Thanks very much for attending today and for the opportunity to participate in the town's Memorial Day remembrance. I know it's been an honor and a privilege for my family and I to be here. And thanks again to the American Legion for making this possible and for celebrating the 100th centennial of your post here. Semper Fidelis, thanks.
Thank you, General Banta, and thank you to General Banta's family that is here to support him today. As a member of our armed forces, I learned that leadership is a quality that is earned through service and time in leadership roles. West Hartford is very fortunate to have such a leader in our mayor, Sherry Cantor. She began her leadership role as mayor in 2016 and has led the growth of our community through challenges such as the pandemic that we have been experiencing over the last 2 years. Her leadership has led us to be, as she describes West Hartford, the unique cultural, shopping, and dining opportunities throughout the town make us a regional destination. West Hartford is a great place to live, work, play, and retire, end quote. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Cantor.
Thank you, Heidi Ann. Thank you, General Banta. Thank you, Reverend. Thank you to Stephanie for giving us that really just heartfelt, heartfelt song to start us off. Thank you all for taking time. This is what's so important, to take time to remember, as you have heard. We are so honored to have many people here that have joined us. I see our police chief here. Chief Riddick, our fire chief, Chief Priest is here. The color guards, thank you so much for participating. We have town officials. We have our representatives, Tammy Exum, Kate Farrar, and Jillian Gilchrist. We have the town council. We have Deputy Mayor Liam Sweeney, Leon Davidoff, Adrian Billings-Smith, Carol Blanks, Ben Winograd, Mary Fay. I know that I think Mark Zadanowitz. I'm not sure if Mark is here, but I also know. And we also have Dr. Lorna Thomas Farquharson from the Board of Education. Oh, Alberto, I walked with Alberto. Alberto Cortez is here as well. Claire Nasarella, and a number of other Board of Ed. I think Ari is, I'm not sure if she's here, but she walked in the parade. So thank you all for being here. Deb Poulin, I know, is here, and I don't know if Ethan Goldman is here, but or Superintendent Tom Moore. But it takes so much to participate and give to make this community special, and I want to thank all my colleagues and all of those that serve the town for doing the best they can do to make us the best community that we can be. I also want to recognize the 100th anniversary of the American Legion. This is a real landmark birthday, and I think this is the first time that there has been a female commander. Is that true? Yes, of course it's true. So I just want to, Heidi Ann, can you just come up for a minute? I just want to read a proclamation before I get to my comments. Whereas the American Legion was chartered by Congress in 1919 as a patriotic, mutual help, wartime veterans organization, the American Legion is a community service organization which now numbers 3 million members and 15,000 posts worldwide. And whereas when our country entered Great War in 1917, 314 young men from West Hartford answered their country's call to service and went off to war in France. 23 of these young men did not come back. Of these, 2 have come to symbolize the rest. They are Waldo C. Hayes and Francis B. Village. And whereas in 1922, 34 veterans of the World War formed the Hayes Village Post 96. The American Legion Post 96 is celebrating its 100th anniversary this year as a member of the world's largest veterans organization. Whereas the American Legion Post 96 launched its March to 100 exhibit on Veterans Day 2021, capturing the history of Hayes Village Post 96 and the wars our country fought in the service of the post namesakes, and the 4 Legion pillars outlining its 100 years of service. Whereas over the past 100 years, Post 96 has strived to fulfill the mission of the 4 pillars of American Legion, a strong national security, taking care of veterans, mentoring our youth, and promoting patriotism and honor. And whereas the American Legion Hayes Village Post 96 has focused its community service in the mentoring our youth pillar by sponsoring youth baseball teams in West Hartford for the past 77 years, many of which were marching today, by participating locally in the American Legion's National High School Oratorical Contest and the Boys and Girls State programs, and holding an annual inductees ceremony recognizing West Hartford graduating seniors who have enlisted in the armed forces. This year, 18 students will be acknowledged tomorrow on May 31st, 2022. And whereas the community of West Hartford congratulates the American Legion Hayes Village Post 96 on its centennial milestone and offers gratitude for its service to veterans and our community. Now therefore be it proclaimed that on behalf of the Town Council of West Hartford and the residents of West Hartford, I, Mayor Sherry G. Cantor, do hereby declare May 30th, 2022 as American Legion Hayes Village Post 96 Day in West Hartford. Congratulations and thank you to all who have served. That's for you. Thank you. And one more little piece of duty is I was presented with this Elaine I don't know if any of you know Elaine, but she is wearing a poppy dress if you see her. Poppies are worn as a display of symbolic tribute. So I just wanted to share this, so a little history. Whereas poppies are worn and displayed as a symbolic tribute to our fallen and the future of living veterans and service members. And whereas at the end of World War I, the American Legion family adopted the poppy as a symbol of freedom and the blood sacrificed by troops in wartime. The symbolic use of the poppy comes from the poem in Flanders Field, which movingly begins, "In Flanders fields, the poppies below, between the crosses, row on row," referring to the poppies that sprang up in the churned up earth of newly dug soldiers' graves over parts of Belgium and France. Whereas the American Legion family has long utilized the red poppy as its official flower, symbolizing the bloodshed by those who have served in our U.S. military, and the meaning and symbolism of the poppy mirror the manner in which the poppy is symbolically showcased in England and Canada in celebratory fashion on their Remembrance Day, known as Armistice Day and Poppy Day. And whereas wearing a poppy will unite citizens from across the country who decide to show their patriotism. Whereas the town supports the designation of May 27, 2022 as National Poppy Day, and whereas encourages all citizens, residents, and visitors in West Hartford to join in observing this day to honor every service member who has died in the number of liberty, freedom, and democracy, while also showing their support for living veterans, service members, and their families. And now therefore be it proclaimed that on behalf of the Town Council of West Hartford and the residents of West Hartford, I, Mayor Sherry Cantor, do hereby proclaim May 27th as National Poppy Day. So that was shared, and thank you, Elaine, for your work on all of those. I also want to thank our acting town manager, Rick Ledwith, for his leadership. And our incredible communications person, Renee McHugh. We could not do all that we do here and make everything happen in the town without all that you do behind the scenes. So please, a round of applause for these leaders. I hope you're not melting too bad, but this is brief, but it's important. So, we are honored to have Lieutenant General Edward Banta, a 3-star general, come home to West Hartford on this Memorial Day. It was an honor to get to know you a little bit as we walked together and to see your humanity, your leadership, your strength, and I'm so proud of you. West Hartford is proud of you. In addition to the many accolades you have heard about him, I want to share that he is a fine product of West Hartford Public Schools and a 1982 graduate from Conard High School. His mother, Jane and Jack, as he mentioned, yes. And his mother, Jane and Jack, have remained in town for 40 years. So thank you, and for your all that you do for the community. Lieutenant General's wife, Molly, and their 2 daughters, Belle and Bergen, are here too. And Molly, I really want to talk to you because I hear you are a Ironman triathlete, and I'm so impressed. Cartwheels pale compared to that. So they have lived all over the world, and today we're so honored to welcome you all home. I am reminded how precious returning home is when we hear the news of our Ukrainian brothers and sisters who are bravely defending their democratic government and fleeing their homes in search of safety while a senseless war rages around them, not knowing what their homes and neighborhoods will look like and when they will return. While it is truly heartbreaking to watch, their dedication is an inspiration to all of us, and we remember them. As I look around this walkway at the Veterans Memorial, we are surrounded by the names of those who served and safely returned home, those who courageously volunteered to preserve freedom at home and around the world. But many did not come home. West Hartford honors our 236 fallen heroes on these black granite stones, known as our Wall of Honor. Those who fought and perished beginning with the Revolutionary War in 1776 through the Global War on Terror in 2005. My own grandfather from World War I veteran, and my dad, World War II veteran, and my mom, my almost 94-year-old mom is here with us today. So it's very meaningful to have this, and I want to thank the veterans, all the veterans that made this possible. It truly is amazing. Tamara Bolton is quoted as saying, "This is the day we pay homage to those who did not come home. This is not Veterans Day. It's not a celebration. It is a day of solemn contemplation over the cost of freedom." Tomorrow, we will recognize 18 graduating high school seniors who will become the next generation of defenders of freedom. These young men and women epitomize President Kennedy's message. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter the words, but to live by them. Lieutenant General Banta will be the guest speaker at the special recognition dinner at Town Hall in the students' honor, and we thank them in advance for their service to our country. And when these individuals come home, the American Legion Post 96 will welcome them into their fold as they begin their next 100 years of dedication to veterans. As we remember and give our gratitude for all of the service members that have paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom, we think about the impact of the loss on their families, friends, and communities, and we remember them. I also think about the responsibility that each one of us have in preserving and protecting the precious and fragile freedom that has been so hard fought and with the significant cost of blood and treasure. It is our duty, our responsibility, and our obligation as citizens to protect the freedom of all Americans. Freedom isn't free, as you already have heard and see. It takes work and sacrifice. It takes brave, courageous, thoughtful, and caring public servants and leaders. Neither does freedom occur in a vacuum. It is contingent upon mutual care and respect within our community and our society. It takes the civic duty of each of us to contribute to making our society free for all. As we think about the service members who have lost their lives for our freedom, we must reflect on how this past year, since we had our last service, and especially in these past 2 weeks alone, we've failed to secure fundamental freedoms for our children, our grandchildren, our communities of color, and our veterans. To honor their memory, we must do better. Thank you for taking the time to be a part of this ceremony and to hear today's message. I hope each and every one of you will take the spirit of freedom and gratitude with you today and always, and do whatever you can to make our community, our country, our world a better place. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mayor Cantor, for the proclamations. And I want to say thank you to Elaine for her persistence and support to keep the symbolic poppy alive. She's a huge advocate as her father served, and she keeps his memory alive. Again, remember me. The ceremony laying of the wreath at a graveside or a memorial is practiced around the world. Heads of state, U.S. presidents, military, and veterans honor departed members of the armed forces or society by laying a wreath of flowers and greenery at sites around the world to remember those we have lost. At this time, I would like to ask the Mayor and General Banta to come forward as the memorial wreath is presented.
You can go if you want to step down there. You might not want to go on the grass because of her heels. This is
Placing the memorial wreath are Rolf Knoll and Mo Fredette of Hayes Village Post 96, who served in the U.S. Army and the U.S. Navy respectively. Commanders of the Guards, call your units to attention, post the colors, and present arms. Commanders of the Guard, call your unit to order arms and at ease. Today at 3 p.m., the sound of taps will be heard in towns and cities across our nation. This is to remind us as we share this day with family and friends to pause for a moment to remember all who answered the call of our nation. I began our ceremony today with 2 words, remember me. On the back of the program, you will find the prayer, Remember Me, written by Vincent Straesky. Remember me, a soldier's prayer. O loved ones, I am but a spirit now, separated from you by a moment's time and a little space. I was born of this earth which you now walk upon, precious earth, and was returned to this earth, precious earth. I endured the horrors of war until my fate found me. As you gaze upon the heavens, remember me, and embrace your cherished freedom, always and forever. Amen. Thank you. There's the sign of freedom, right there. Thank you for joining us today. I want to say last thanks to Renee, who's the town's public relations director, and to Mo Fredette from our Legion for tireless work to make this program all come together, for the parade and all the different people that were in the parade. Commanders of the Guards, call your unit to attention and present arms. Ethan Strife Cave, 11th grader from Hall High School, and Luke French, a 6th grader from Sedgwick Middle School, will close our ceremony by sounding taps. I also want to thank Nathan Edwards, the Sedgwick band director, who helped these two gentlemen to do taps today. Thank you for your attention, and after taps is over, the ceremony is complete.